Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Megaman 5. In the last part we started off the game and beat 3 of the Robot Masters, and now we're going to continue on with Gravityman. Gravityman, he can control gravity with the unit installed in his body. Good point, he's a devoted researcher. Bad point, has an unsocial attitude. Likes physical science and dislikes cosmic space. Okay then. Any Gravityman stage is actually one of my favorite ones in the game. The way it works, as you saw there, gravity switches depending on the arrows in the background. And I'm usually not a fan of anti-gravity gimmicks, but here it's basic enough and doesn't change enough to the point where it's annoying. Basically, all you have to keep in mind when the gravity switches is the fact that your jump now goes down. You have to now press up and jump to slide. And that ladders you have to press down to go up, if that makes sense verbally. And it's overall actually a rather easy stage. The only thing that can be kind of tricky is getting the letter. And there are some kind of mean traps when it comes to spikes with the anti-gravity. Luckily I can only recall twice it happens. And there's like the pink guy right there. I think I mentioned him last part, but he's essentially the big guy of the game, that takes like a third of your health. However, he's also the easiest one of those in the series, in my opinion, because you can just slide right under him and really not have much of a threat at all. Anyway, as you'll see right here, there's the letter. This is actually kind of a surprisingly tricky one to get. You have to get your jump just right so that you go into the reverse gravity so you hit it. I died, so obviously I failed it the first time. Second try, got it. I don't know why I paused there. I think I was going to check which letters I have. And coming up here is actually one of the only really mean instances when it comes to spikes with the anti-gravity. Hold right. That got me the first time. I don't know why I'm deciding to kill this guy, but I am apparently. Anyway, Gravityman, obviously since we're going in this order, is weak against the Star Crash. And if you can't tell by the fact that stuff suddenly changed, I died. Gravityman likes to switch the gravity on you. He's always on the opposite ceiling to you, I suppose. Every now and then when he's doing the gravity switch, he will shoot a pellet at you, but it's nothing too bad. Star Crash, well, first off, to hit him with it, just stand just to the left or right of him when he switches to gravity. The way it works is that if it hits anything, it'll disappear, so make sure the pellet doesn't hit it. But overall, pretty easy boss. And for beating him, we actually get a pretty good weapon. What do we get? The Gravity Hold. If you remember the Centaur Flash from Mega Man 6, it's very similar. It's essentially a screen nuke that does damage. Well, obviously screen nukes would do damage. The only difference is I don't think this one freezes time. Anyway, now we're heading after Gyro Man. Gyro Man. In the interest of cost, the original flying device is replaced by the propeller. I'm not joking, that is what his description says in the Mega Man and base bios. Good point, he's proudful. Bad point, has a lot of disdain. He likes Greek sandwiches and dislikes jet engines. I actually like that Greek sandwiches line because for those who don't know, there's a Greek sandwich called an gyro. And I hope I'm pronouncing that right. But the thing is, it's spelled the exact same way as gyro, so that's a clever little pun on the developer's part. Or is it translator? That would do that. Either way. It actually kind of reminds me of the whole thing for Okami, with the title, with Okami being the word for wolf in Japanese, but they write it in the kanji, that means great god. Clever, Capcom. Actually, wait, they're both Capcom games. Oh, you little... Well, actually, technically speaking, Okami was Clover, but oh well. Anyway, Gyro Man stage is actually what I find to be the hardest out of the main 8, but it doesn't really get to be that until the very end of it. Enemies-wise, it doesn't really reuse... It actually reuses a lot of the same enemies that we saw in Crashman. Crashman, that one. Yes, they brought back enemies from Mega Man 2. No, Charge Man stage. But it's overall not that bad until the end. It actually reminds me a lot of Airman stage, with a bit of, not Dr. Wily, what was the stage from Megaman 2 that this reminds me of aside from Airman? I can't remember. Huh. Oh well. Is this... No, this isn't where the hard part is. I will say, actually, looking at this stage, it visually reminds me a lot of Windman's stage from 6. In fact, that's one thing that I think I recall reading. Mega Man's 5 and 6 actually use almost the exact same engine, I believe. Because 1 obviously had a different engine from 2. Or at least a different enough. 3 and 4 obviously had different stuffs added, so they had to change the engine slightly. Anyway, here's where the hell begins. These platforms will fall not long after you jump on them, and these guys, they float towards you, but the moment that you get in front of them, they will charge down at you. And, by the way, there was the letter for the stage, the A. I died getting it, so that sucks. Never mind. I don't know what I was about to say. And then hell begins again, because this place is just filled with instant death. If the spikes don't get you, getting crushed will. Pretty much just try to preemptively jump on platforms. You probably will make it. Slide if you can. If the platforms will allow you to slide correctly, that is. Whew! That was close. And after that, it's really just smooth sailing. Just make sure you don't get hit by these guys' pellets so they don't knock you into the, not really bottomless abyss that we're in the sky, so I guess until we hit the ground. Though we've seen from Mega Man 2 that Mega Man can survive quite a high fall, so what the hell, game? Is that a different boss door design? Huh, I should check to see if the rest of those are like that, because that looks different from all the other ones. Anyway, going in this order, Gyro Man's weak to gravity hold, and he's pretty easy with it. It's kind of like fighting Windman from 6 with it. Just press it and he'll take damage, equal to the amount of the ammo you used. Gyro Man likes to go into the clouds and fire his propeller at you. It's nothing too bad. It's pretty easy, actually. He's pretty easy to Mega Buster. Overall, pretty easy stage, aside from that one section. And for beating him, we get the gyro cutter? Gyro attack. Yeah, well, that's not near as good. Basically, I'll get more into what the gyro attack is later. We got the rush jet as well, which is the exact same as it's been since 4, so... Anyway, now we're heading after Crystalman, who I actually really like the design of, although he never got a battle counterpart, which is kind of surprising. Anyway, Crystalman. He has the power to produce artificial crystals. His creator created him to earn money. The bio actually says who his creator is, but that's spoilerific. Good point. He has a magical aura. Bad point, has a fishy attitude. He likes fortune-telling and dislikes scientists. Yeah, okay then. I actually gotta admit, I love the way this stage looks. It somewhat reminds me of Gemini Man's stage, actually. Though I wonder if this place exists, why can't every Final Fantasy villain just come here and farm for crystals? Now, when it comes to these sections where the crystals are falling out of those old tubes in the ceiling, just get Star Crash out, you'll probably not get hit. In fact, you can probably just charge through using Star Crush and you'll probably not get hit. And hey, Eddie! No. Give me something good. Oh, you little... Give me something good. Thank you. Honestly, I would have taken either a life or an E-Tank. In fact, that's one thing about this game. I'm not sure if you've noticed it, but we've yet to get a single E-Tank, and we're 6 Robot Masters in. In fact, I'll say right now, we get our first energy tank in this stage. Mind you, this game is fairly easy enough as it is, but still, I would have liked to have more energy tanks. Though there's not just an energy tank if you look at the bottom screen, I'll get more into that later, though. Anyway, these guys remind me a lot. These guys are essentially, from what I can see, the Sniper Joes of the game, aside from the ones that were on the Bikes and Waveman stage. Except at the same time, they remind me a lot of Skullman. I don't know why. Anyway, going into what the gyro attack is, you'll see it during the boss, but what it is, it's similar enough to Silver Tomahawk from 6, but it's at the same time different. What happens when you fire it, it sends a propeller that goes straight forward. However, at any point in its flight, you can actually change its direction to go up or down, I believe, actually. So pretty much you can hit enemies that are above you that you couldn't hit without jumping, or below you that you couldn't hit without falling. And there's our first energy tank. Or E-tank, technically. Energy tanks are Metroid. Anyway, you want to take the upper path here using Rush Coil. Why? Well, I'll get into that momentarily. Now, what's up here, you might ask? An M-tank. M-tanks are kind of rarities in this series. There's something similar to it in 7, and they would reappear in 9. But what they are, they're an E-tank, yes, but they also restore all your weapons to max. So it's essentially a Mega Elixir. And then I energy farmed those rats for a couple minutes because I wanted more health. Did you see that? If you did catch what happened there, let's take a closer look. During that entire falling sequence, there's where the letter is. That is easily the easiest one to miss in the entire game. That was totally kind of you, Capcom. That's the one I missed frequently on my first playthrough. And guess what? If you miss it, I think you actually have to die so you can try and get it again. Thanks, Capcom. Anyway, time for Crystalman. He's obviously weak against the gyro attack. Seriously, that should be gyro cutter. That just sounds better. Crystalman, how to describe him? Well, first off, he likes to jump up in the air and send 4 crystals that bounce around Brick Breaker style. And as you can see, I'm altering the gyro attack's path by sending it up at him. He can also just send a standard pellet at you. He really likes to jump a lot, though. That's his big thing. But he's pretty easy with his weakness. And just because I know I might not have enough time otherwise to describe it, for beating him, we're going to get the Crystal Eye, if I recall correctly. What it does is that it shoots a crystal forward, which can damage enemies, yes, but if it hits a wall, it sends shrapnel around that bounces like his mini little gems did. It's actually deceptively useful if you know where to use it. But with that, I'm gonna need to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, rate, comment, subscribe, all that kind of stuff, and next time on Let's Play Mega Man 5, we're heading after Napalm Man. See you guys then.